Hey you guys, welcome back. It's Bricks Below, and I'm back here with another update video. I know I haven't made a video basically since last year, and I have made a lot of changes to the city. And so in this video, I'll show you guys some of the changes that I've made and talk about some of the future plans and what I'm wanting to do, or what I want to do with the city in the future, especially. And so I'll take you guys off the tripod. And so the big change here, as you guys can see, is that I have a let's see, I've now the um, corner garage. Sorry, I can think of it. Here installed into the city. But the other big change is, as you guys can see, I've actually used a new Lego road plate system. I've tried making a couple videos, but I just didn't like them explaining why I made these changes. But just the main gist of it is this. Like I said, I'm building a city underneath my bed, and the space is very limited, and the standard road base plates are usually 32 by 32, and that causes a lot of constraint because I have to account for that space, and so it makes it hard to add new buildings and things like that, because or new structures, because I have to account for that space that's already taken up. So when these new plates were announced, I was actually really excited because that meant that I could use them and actually save space. And so I've bought a couple so far, and I've installed them. I've just made this, for the most part, just made this junction here, and I'm planning on making another road here. Now, as you guys can see, another big change is actually the train layout. Previously, I had it so that there were two continuous train loops running around, and I thought about it for a long time, and I started thinking that as I start to add more and more buildings, it's going to be harder to keep the current train layout. And so I went ahead and reduced it to one track, one full track around the layout, and then have it so it junctions off there and here. But even then, as I start to expand the city this way, I may actually have to push this connection point here further back, and just basically have one siding towards the back. And so I actually removed a lot of the locomotives and things like that. The main trains I want running are the Maersk one, um, and the passenger one. And I have a couple of extra rolling stock there, but I may attach that to the Maersk train in the future. But speaking of passenger train, I actually also was able to obtain the Lego City passenger train from a couple years ago. And what I actually did with it is I modified it to extend it a little bit longer. And I made a video about this too. Didn't like it, and so I'll probably remake another video explaining some of the changes that I made. Because at one point, before I decided to narrow the track down to one, it actually had enough space to hold two tracks, and so I've narrowed it down to one. And so, as you guys can see, here is the layout. I'll bring you guys a little bit closer. Like I said, I'm really happy with these base plates because it allows me um, to basically save a lot more space than I did before. And so, as you guys can see here, I've put some of the dining here. I actually also have the French Parisian restaurant right next to the diner, and so it looks really nice here. When they're next together, and it's right next, bunched up together with the bookstore on this side. I also made this railroad crossing here. It's not final; it's just a prototype of one, and so I just put it there. I actually don't have another one here, but I'm planning on adding it. And so yeah, so the main layout, the way it's set up, is the main thing is that there's this continuous road down, and I kind of want to make a loop of a road here where it goes all the way down, and then just kind of turns here and comes back down this way. And so, like I said, I may end up cutting the train yard down further, which I'm fine with. But again, I'm just still kind of in the early planning phases and kind of just prototyping as I go along, depending on how I like things and don't like things. And so, yeah, have the changes here. Again, have the train station there. Something I did is actually I actually matched this up to the base plate. So the way it works is basically I just put in some plates there, and whenever you put a base plate for the modular buildings, it actually matches up if you put one more plate here. And so then I've just been putting usually two by twos light gray tile 2x2 tiles here to connect them. And so yeah, I haven't fully finished it out, fleshed it out here, and that's mostly because I'm thinking about maybe adding a custom building here. Again, I haven't fully decided. I also have space enough here for a 32x16 modular here potentially. And so again, there's a lot of empty space left here. And again, that's because, you know, I want to have the availability to add more buildings as I go along, just based on, you know, what I feel I want to add. Further down, so here's the main intersection. As you guys can see, I added the crosswalks here, and so I added them there. I also have the traffic light there. Now, something else I did, and I'll show you guys this over here as we move along. Something else that I did is, as you guys can see here, this this is not flush with this. When you usually connect these, you usually use, there's a 1x4 gap here and a 1x4 gap here, and you use a 2x4 to connect them. The reason why I did this has to do with the way this bed is set up. And so I'll show you guys, there's this giant beam here that goes down the center of the building, or sorry, of the bed. And this provides structural integrity to the bed. There was actually another beam that stretched across that I actually ended up removing in order to add these buildings. And so when I added the corner garage, I noticed that if I left it in the original way, it would have actually touched this. Now, it wasn't fully crushing it, but it was to the point where if there was enough force, it would actually crush this and pop this piece out. And so just in order to avoid that and have some structural integrity there, I decided to just move the building over. And I ended up moving it by about 3 studs, and that was enough space that I can actually close this up and it won't affect it. And it basically comes down to about here. So it's good. The pet store is actually low enough where I won't touch it. And so that's also good as well. And so, yeah, here is the main intersection, as you guys can see. I actually have this little custom police car here. And this is kind of more of the residential side. I added some residential buildings. That building actually, all the way to the left, is actually a custom building that I made a couple years ago, but just finally decided to add it. And like I said, here's the main train station here. My plan for this is actually adding, I think there's about a, I want to say, let me see, there's about a 9 stud gap between this side here and this plate right here. And what I'm planning on doing is actually adding some little custom buildings here. Or actually, if you notice some of the Lego City sets, usually the way they come is they come in I want to say like a 6x16, and so they're usually small and they don't have a back to them. And so what I'm thinking of adding or doing with those is actually adding those here along the road, and so that way there'll be a sidewalk here, and you'll have a couple of little custom buildings here, or sorry, some of these smaller buildings here, and so you can fit them there, and so you can have people walking along the sidewalk to the train station. And I added that crosswalk so that way people that are walking down this sidewalk can actually walk across the to the train station. And like I said, this train station is custom. I made some changes to it, and I'll do another video explaining some of the changes that I made and kind of a little review of it. But yeah, for the most part, this is the main city layout. I'm really happy with it. I'm really happy with the new base plates. Overall, I'm happy in how it's turning out. And so just the plan from now is just kind of expanding and growing it further and further. I am looking at adding more modular buildings. In particular, I want to buy the police station and maybe add it where the diner is. But again, that's just kind of a future thing as I get more of these buildings. But yeah, overall, like I said, I'm really happy. Let me give you guys one final wide shot of the city. But yeah, like I said, my main goal is to try to keep working on this and adding more and more to it, and kind of build a full city out here. In the future, I'd like to add some LED lights here to the top, and maybe add some lights to the buildings, but not sure about that yet. But overall, yeah, here's just a main overall look. Please feel free to give some comments as to what direction you guys think I should take this in, and I appreciate it a lot. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you, guys.